Welcome to the Extraordinary Podcast, where we identify God's uncommon work in common life. Recognizing God's work requires intentionality, but articulating it motivates and inspires. Don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode. In today's episode, I have a conversation with Angelica Lozano, where she shares about her life and her spiritual journey, which includes some difficulties and how God has provided through her along the way, but what it means to follow Him even through midst of difficulties and how to keep a positive attitude throughout that. So let's get into the conversation today. Angelica, thank you for being a guest on our podcast today. We appreciate you taking the time to share a little bit about your story and allow others to see how Jesus has worked in your life. So thank you for being here today. And as we begin, could you share a little bit about your schooling right now, the degree that you are trying to finish and all that's encompassed in that?
So I'm praying to finish these 3 classes in December. I did graduate earlier in May, but I don't get my degree until December. So I'm praying that I pass. And I am majoring in psychology.
What made you desire psychology?
So I love the study of the mind and behaviors of people. I love to observe people when they walk and talk and their movements. And so I'd love to help encourage children that have low self-esteem to love themselves and have confidence in themselves and have a voice.
Now, what inspired you to go back to school?
What inspired me to go back to school? My children. I am the best example for them right now, and so for them to see their mom working really hard with working and going back to school shows them that they can do it. And student loan money is also very important because it's not easy being a single mom of 3 and having to provide. And so yeah.
And what do you hope to do once you graduate?
I would love to be a psychiatrist, but that may be when I'm 86. But like a therapist, a child psychologist would be awesome.
Yeah, and so you care about people, you want to know what makes people tick, but also how to show kids, specifically you said, that they're worth, that they're value, how to love themselves.
Amen, yes.
Yep. Now, you were not born in the United States. Can you share a little bit about your journey?
Yes. So I was born in Colombia, South America. I supposedly was adopted at the age of 4. Ruben and I were adopted at the same time. He's 2 years older than I am. I just found out that I have biological family that are still alive, and finding out I might be 2 years older than what I really am. So it's just amazing how things are unfolding and working out.
So you were adopted into the United States, and you grew up. Did you grow up here in Iowa?
So yes, I grew up in Burlington, Iowa. Deborah Bloffis, she was a single mom, and she adopted Ruben and I by herself. Mm-hmm.
And so and you still remember certain things from your time in Colombia, correct?
So the only thing I remember is that when our adopted mom came to the hotel to take us with her, I held Ruben's hand because I was terrified. And I said, "Are we going to be okay?" And Ruben says, "Yes, we're going to be just fine." That was pretty scary.
And you speak fluent Spanish still, and you try to keep some of those cultural influences alive in your kids,
yes.
Correct?
Yes. I love how Hispanics are so united and so work together and love each other like unconditionally. I want to keep that with my kids, yes. And our cultural traditions and things.
Yeah, and so that's an interesting journey for what brought you here today. And so being someone who was adopted as a young child, you didn't necessarily know what adopted meant when you first came to the States. Likely now you understand the full picture of what that is.
Yeah.
Can you share with us some of the things that, as an adopted person, you had to process that someone who wasn't adopted might not realize?
Well, Ruben and I, we were adopted into an American family. our adopted mom was white, so I knew I didn't look like her. I didn't look like the rest of the Blofeld family. So I almost knew how it felt to not fit in. But I loved my family no matter what, unconditionally. So,
do you remember, were there any moments in your life where you really had to wrestle with the fact that you were adopted?
yes, I was not treated like I thought someone should be treated if they were blood related. So it took me many years to realize that. Even therapy woke me up and made me realize, hey,
Yeah, now, well, thank you for sharing that. Now, whether we're talking about adopted or other experiences in your life, you've experienced difficulties. Now, everyone's experienced some difficulties, but you have unique ones that are specific to you. Could you share a little bit about what has helped you persevere through some of those difficulties?
Just knowing that Jesus went through so much for us. I mean, he died on the cross for our sins, and we have betrayed him over and over, and I know how it feels to be betrayed. So I don't know.
Well, and that's fine. I just know that you mentioned that you're a single mother of 3 kids. That wasn't by design by you.
No.
And there's a heavy burden that you carry with that.
Guilt.
Yeah, and now you work hard to make sure that your kids do not suffer because of the choices of others.
Right.
And how do you do it? How do you have the strength for that?
God, and the fact that I wanted better for my children and for myself. We deserve so much out of life. And God, it's just God.
And one of the things that I find impressive is you have 3 wonderful children who they behave well. They're I have kids too. I know what you're laughing about.
Yeah.
But in general,
yes.
they're extremely well behaved, very respectful. They explore their passions, and that's one of the things you really encourage them to do is explore their passions because they do various things.
Yes. We are involved in so many things. Yes. I believe they need to have their own individuality and purpose in life. So.
And I was blessed to be your youngest child's t-ball coach, so that was quite the experience.
Olivia.
and so I just want to make sure we recognize the efforts that you put forth to help your kids not be held back, like I said, by the choices of others.
Yes.
Because that's not fair to them.
Right.
And we all face situations that are impacted because of the choices of others. We all do, even as adults. And it can be overwhelming at times to not be held back by that, to not use those things as an excuse.
Right.
And you work hard not to allow those things to be an excuse. Would you say?
Yes. I believe that we are able to persevere and not make those excuses to get what we want, or I'm a strong woman and it's not easy, but if I can teach my kids to help others and not take things for granted in life.
No, and I didn't necessarily prepare you for this part, and I apologize for that. You're not somebody who seeks conflict, but I whether you naturally understand it or you've learned to healthily deal with conflict. Why do you think that's such an important lesson to help your kids understand?
Because there's so much conflict that they're going to endure in life, and if you're able to communicate in healthy ways and put yourself in other people's shoes, and there's different perspectives, that you'll be able to come out with a positive result in the end.
Because that's the goal, right?
That's the goal, yes. It may not always be, but with communication, everything's possible. That's what I believe.
Yeah, the goal of conflict is not to make the other person feel bad
No.
or make them admit fault. It's to find resolution.
Yes.
While expressing your feelings.
Amen. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And if you express your feelings without judging the other person or condemning them, then that's not just okay. It's very healthy to do so.
It is. It is.
And so I just mention that because I've been part of a few conversations in which I've seen you handle conflict, and it's just been very impressive to witness that. And I think kind of tied into that is you have a positive outlook on life. Has that always been the case?
I think so. Honestly, yes. Lately, it hasn't been the case. But I have to isolate myself to get myself back to where I need to be like, hey, life is so beautiful. There's so much out there that God has created for us that we need to look to the better of everything. So yeah, I think I've always been optimistic and positive, but I've learned that sometimes it's not always good to be positive.
You don't want to have rose-colored glasses on. You want to have a realistic view of life.
Yes.
So when you said when you start to get, you didn't say overwhelmed, but those types of things, you need to be by yourself.
Yes.
Is that what helps you?
Yeah, I have to isolate myself and just listen to motivational videos or clean or do something that calms me and gets me back to a realistic state of mind.
Well, and I think the issue is not that we have to do exactly what you do, but that we need to find what works for us.
Yeah, everybody has their own hobbies. That's why you have your own hobbies. That's why I'm teaching my kids to find their happy medium, so that way they can. So,
but you when how did you learn that? Is that something you came across that you figured out, or were you taught that?
I don't think I was taught that. I think it's innate maybe, or I just observe people so much that I see what I like and don't like, and then kind of copy the things I do like and have incorporated my own way of being.
So it sounds like from what you encourage your kids to do and how you process life yourself, you have come to the realization it's better to try something and it not succeed than just not try anything. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. Because, you can fail, but you keep going. You get off that bike, you fall off that bike and keep getting back on there and try.
Now, I'm not going to ask you to reveal any embarrassing moments, but I'm sure you've had some things that you're like, well, that just didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But you kept going.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting, the older I get, the more I find it's harder to accept correction and the harder it is to accept failure. But we think of when our kids are younger, we tell them they're wrong all the time. No, that letter doesn't look right, or that math problem is incorrect, or something like that. And the kids accept it because they're growing, they're learning, and partially because we try to create a safe place for the kids.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
You want to build them up too. You don't want to tear down their ideas either.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But if we create a safe place where they know they can fail and it's okay.
Yes.
And I don't know if our society doesn't allow us as adults, or we just believe that they don't allow us as adults sometimes, and we hold ourselves back because of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, I appreciate you sharing your perspective on that, and hopefully challenging us to at least try. Because if we try, we may surprise ourselves with what comes and what it looks like. So thank you for that. Now, as we briefly discussed, a single mother of 3 kids. You guys are here almost every Wednesday, almost every Sunday. And as I say, you have 3 well-behaved kids when they're here. but what are ways the church has helped you and your kids, or maybe how can the church do better?
The church is just amazing as it is right now. Everyone's so loving and kind, and I'm not sure there's much that they can do. I know it's hard financially, but I'm working really hard to help us to get out of that. But I just want to be loved and respected, and respect my children. We love you guys. We love you so much.
And I think your kids, you've been a greeter at times, and your kids help you with that.
Yeah, they love it.
And it's to me, I think one of the best things the church can do is make sure we make space for kids and teenagers.
Yes.
That something like that. There's a lot of movement when kids are helping with stuff, which is fine. There's literally nothing wrong with that, but we just can't be grumpy about it. We got to make sure we let kids be kids,
Right.
and we help them see how they are valuable in Jesus, but also in our own lives.
Right.
Because it's fun seeing kids helping and involved, and I just ask that because I want to make sure that you know your kids the best, right? Nobody knows your kids better than you do, and you know what speaks to them, particularly as your oldest is in middle school, and it's they're at different stages, and sometimes those stages are they have different personalities in those stages.
Yes.
And middle school can be a pretty tough time for kids, and I don't want to go back to middle school.
Yeah, me neither. Me either.
But simple things such as asking with a teenager or elementary age student of how's your day, or find their interests and ask them about them.
Yes.
I mean, because your oldest plays the piano. So
Yes.
Hey, how are you liking piano? Just little things like that can help the kids feel loved and valued, and just so people care about them.
Yes.
So do you have any other comments about that?
I know that the kids and I were talking about how they would like for us to have more activities going on maybe outside of church. I know Carmen was saying she wants to do like Christmas caroling and maybe have like more community events. And I would love to be a part of that, help out, because kids and I, we work really well together, getting things happening. So
Are all three of your kids musical?
yes.
Okay, because I've heard Gabe play the piano. And, very
And the
impressive.
violin, yes.
Oh, I forgot he plays the violin.
And then Carmen just started the viola.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, those duets could be really pretty.
I know. And then Olivia loves to sing. She loves to sing.
Well, that's good. I just, like I said, it's important for the church to make sure we make space for everybody,
Right.
for kids, for teens, for adults, for whoever it is. And sometimes we can get in the way because we have our own traditions, our own preferences,
Yeah.
which aren't necessarily bad, but
We can incorporate everybody's like traditions or things and come together and learn, new ways.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for sharing. I like to end with an open-ended question sometimes.
Okay.
So this question is there anything else you'd like to share today?
No, I'm just blessed to have found a church that is very accepting of us and that loves us, and I just thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you here, and I'm grateful for you, and the way you care for your kids is inspiring. The way your kids are growing, it's fun to see them grow and just develop, and I look forward to the future with you and your family. So thank you for being a guest on our show. We appreciate you taking the time to share and allow Jesus to use you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast. Be on the lookout for how God does uncommon work in common life. And please subscribe to never miss an episode.